Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Seth Joyner Show. We're live right here on Facebook, live on YouTube. Thank you for joining me again, talking our Eagles and what's coming up today. We got my good friend, ex-Eagle alumni, Hollis Tank Thomas will be joining us in a second. But hey, we're in June. We are literally 2 months away from the opening of training camp. And I know you guys have got to be just as excited as I am for the upcoming season. Tank and I, we're going to break down, talk about, the Eagles' offensive and defensive line. We're also going to talk about other things that's going on in Eagles news. And whatever it is, that Tank want to talk about, man, because, he brings it every single time. With no further ado, my ex-Eagle alumni. You guys know him as Tank, Hollis Thomas. My brother.
What's up, man?
I'm Skippy. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm Skippy. Yeah, I'm all right, man. Just in the midst of a move. I moved closer to the Delaware River there.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Everything is just, percolating along. We're getting closer to the season. A lot of things happening, with the Eagles. There's a lot of excitement around Jalen Hurts, a lot of excitement around, this young Eagles wide receiver core. But one of the things that surfaced this week, is the potential for a trade for one Julio Jones.
That's he's probably going to end up in Seattle. That other one, and it's kind of funny because I thought you were getting ready to start talking about the helter-skelterness of Jalen Reagor's tweets and rants about his last year.
We can get into it.
I was getting ready to smash right into it because he comes in hot, and that's what he did in his rookie season. He got hurt. So what's happening on Twitter is he's going on rants and bickering with people, but then erasing it all. And then coming back hard again. I was like, it was just like his rookie campaign. It's like he came in hot, then he got hurt, came back in hot again, got hurt again, and now he's doing what he's doing. So it was that's what I was talking about that yesterday on my podcast because because it's somebody they were just saying because I guess he's bickering with the fans, apologizing for his play last year, and he had never been injured. He didn't have to deal with injuries in college like he had to. That was his first time ever dealing with injuries. And I was like, well, you had a dad that played. He should have told you. So
listen, my issue is the fact that when you become a Philadelphia Eagle, there's a certain etiquette as a player that you have to learn and you have to understand. Mm-hmm. The fans are always right.
Right.
Okay. And the fans are going to be extremely opinionated. And my issue with Jalen Reagor is, the wolf cookies that he's selling.
Yeah, exactly. That's
just listen, man. You came in, and everybody, and I understand, you feeling some type of way because everyone wants to talk about Justin Jefferson, the fact that they passed over him and they took him, and the kid turned around and he turns into, the offensive, NFL rookie of the year. Okay.
Broke Randy Moss records.
Hey man, so I get it that you feel in some type of way.
Yeah.
But sometimes the best thing to do is not to say a whole lot, especially in the city of Philadelphia, especially on social media, because the fans are gonna get at you.
Right.
So just go about your business in year 2. Do what you got to do to get yourself to a point where you can be productive, and let your play on the field speak, and this back and forth that he's got going on with the fans, it doesn't serve him well.
Nope.
It doesn't serve anyone well.
No, it just doesn't serve him well because if you don't put up, the fans are gonna be like, I told you. It's like they're doing exactly. It's not so much that as a player coming into, you have to have a different attitude coming here because you're getting paid to play. This is in college. This is not where nobody's going to critique you. You're getting paid to play. So playing is your job. Being in shape is your job. Being available is your job. Your best ability is your availability. I don't give a damn if you got injured. That's your fault. You're supposed to not get injured. So it's like, and you went out there injured. So whatever you put on tape, that's your own fault. So it's like guys have got to learn that their body is business now, and it's and what we're seeing now with the guys nowadays, they're getting hurt on their own time and expecting people to pay them. We don't know what the hell you was doing. You weren't at work. You say you was at work.
Yeah.
But y'all don't. They don't want to come around. They don't want to have anything competitive going on. I was like, that's how you win your job. How do you think you win your job? Competitive, your competitive nature. Your juices is formed. You bringing somebody in here to take my spot. That means I'm not doing enough to keep my spot. So that means I got to get my stuff together and come on with the come on. I don't care if you bring somebody in here. That's
well,
what.
But you know this is a different NFL than the NFL that you and I grew up in. You know, back when we played, you know, you had to prove your worth. Now, if you're a first or second round draft pick, you know, you are going to get the benefit of the doubt for at least 3 to 4 or 5 years before an organization pulls the plug on you. Now, I'm not saying that Jalen Reagor can't be, you know, that guy. Right. You know, obviously, you know, with the pick of Devontae Smith, he's now receiving number 1, right, and Jalen Reagor is receiving number 2. Right. You know, but he needs to get to a point where he stop talking about what he's going to do. Right. And just be quiet and go about your business in the most quiet of the ways, right, and let your play on the field speak for you, because, you know, all he's doing is setting himself up, because if he doesn't succeed, if he doesn't have success, then the media, the fans, and everybody else is just going to, you know, they're going to roast him. They're going to roast him every which way to Sunday.
Like some Planters peanuts, they're going to roast him, especially the fan that he was going backwards and forth with. And why are you going to back and erasing stuff? You erase stuff, and then, like, that's why I call him Helter Skelter or Sybil, because he erased stuff and started apologizing, but then you come back harder. Like, what are you doing? Sit your ass down. I just and I'm almost not almost. I am glad we didn't have social media when we was playing, dude.
Definitely not.
I'd have told her where to go, but you know, but the thing that you were speaking of with the Julio Jones thing, it cracks me up, because I don't know if you I never told you this about when every time they talk about a diva-esque receiver, it's like, you name me one diva-esque receiver that's as bitchy as the ones that we have now that's won a title. Now, I'll wait.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
Everybody's always talking about, he's a playmaker. I don't care. I was like, even though you're a playmaker, you have to have a team mentality. Right. It's like, it shouldn't be like, go beat the ball. It's one ball. If you open, we'll get it to you. But we're not just out there with one ball, just throwing it to you. It's a team process. When you get those B-type guys, you might electrify the crowd every once in a while, but you're not going nowhere.
Well, let's talk about this in hypothetics. Then. Okay. You know, let's say that the opportunity is there for the Eagles to get Julio Jones. You know, in your opinion, do they make the move or do they not make the move?
Don't make it. We got mainly because we got too many young receivers. At what point are we going to start developing some of our own talent? It's like, so you go get him. He's known to be injury prone. So then, first of all, you're taking reps from kids who could be growing together and learn how to win together. So it's like, that's my thing is this: why take somebody who's pretty much on his last leg and give up a first round pick, even though we got an extra first round pick? Why should we give up an extra first-round pick for somebody who's on his last leg? And I just got a coaching staff in there. It's not like that's the final piece. If that was the final piece, if that's what we were looking for, then you do it. But that's not the final piece. We need a lot of stuff around the Eagles right now, and we just looking to develop the talent we already have. That's my main reason. What is he going to bring to the table?
Well, let me throw this out. Aaron Moorhead is the wide receivers coach. Right. We didn't see a lot of growth at the wide receiver position last year. Right. Jalen Reagor, you know, had a less than spectacular year as the 21st overall pick. Correct. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside still hasn't realized, you know, the talent or the lack of talent, you know, that the Eagles saw when they drafted him. You had a guy like Travis Fulgham who splashed and got out there, and I thought did some good things and deserved the opportunity to continue to be on the field. But when Alshon Jeffrey got healthy, they took him off the field, and in my opinion, you stunted that kid's growth. Okay,
Exactly.
so now if you bring in a guy like Julio Jones, and I'm just speaking hypothetics because I'm not really sold on the move either, but there seems to be a lot of Eagles fans on social media and a lot of people that are for this move. You get a guy, who knows how to play the position, a guy who's played at the elite level, and a guy who can be a mentor, for some of these young wide receivers. What do you say as far as that's concerned?
I don't need no damn mentor now. Not at $15 million. I don't need a mentor. Right now, I feel like this is their opportunity to grow together. This is the first time that we haven't had some, excuse the language, dick cheese in the room, who's just pretty much collecting a check, and we got him there for locker room service. We don't need that. We need these guys to learn how to grow together, learn how to play together, learn how to win together. It's like when you build. Most of the time, people build a team from the lines, and what I've learned is when you build it from the lines, you get those young guys together. They start building some continuity. They know what each other do. They're all about helping each other out, and it's like in playing. You got to have guys that are pulling for each other. If you go out and you get some random cat that you paying all the money, he's gonna come in there. He may show everybody how to be a pro, but he's not going to show nobody that much. He's on his last leg. He's already cut his teeth. I was like, and then he's gonna be yelling at the coach probably because Moorhead. Okay, Moorhead. You actually think Julio Jones is gonna respect him?
Hey man, I just throw out the hypothetics, man. And to be honest with you, Tank, I feel the same way.
Okay.
At some point in time, you got to develop the young talent that you have, and you got to give those guys, that freedom and that confidence that they could grow. Yeah. Travis Fulgham's going to come in. He's going to be competing for a roster spot because the Eagles drafted 2 other wide receivers beyond Jalen Reagor last year. So he's got to feel like, hey, I got a legitimate shot at making this roster and getting legitimate time. You bring in a guy like Julio Jones. Yep. Now some of these young guys are going to begin to wonder, am I even going to make the team? Yep. And where does their confidence go, at the same time?
And then not only that, where the reps are going to go. The reps, because you're going to be getting that guy reps all throughout practice. Right. And then you're going to send those kids out there in the preseason game, and then they're going to be somewhere else. And they're going to be Justin Jefferson it up and DK Metcalf it up. Yeah. You forgot about that one, didn't you? The DK Metcalf.
No, we don't even need to go there, man.
Yeah, I was pissed at that one too. I was like, wow, I think of White side, DK Metcalf, huh? But when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, hopefully this coaching staff is since they're young and since the powers that be are still kind of letting them go around. Hopefully they can start teaching these guys and build a bit of a rapport so we can have some people that everybody's being sought after, and we don't have to go on everybody else's team to get the players that they develop because we can't develop anybody.
Well, since you brought up the coaching staff, let's talk about it because, there's been a lot of people that's had issue with Nick Sirianni, specifically, I should say. I wouldn't say especially. Specifically in his press conferences. Mm-hmm. He's a young coach. I believe he's 37 years old.
Yep, way younger than both of
us. yeah. And then you got a defensive coordinator that's, in his 30s, 35, 39, and the offensive coordinator is 35 to 37 years old. Right. So now when you've got that much youth on your roster as a coaching staff in those important positions, personally, as an ex-player, I always wanted a guy who was valid to be my coach. A guy who either coached for a while or a guy who had played in the league, a guy that could teach me something, a guy that could bring something to the table rather than just handing me a game plan every Wednesday morning.
Right.
When you look at how young this roster is and you look at how young this coaching staff is, how do you see the validity of the coaching staff, the believability on the part of the players that these coaches can bring to the forefront the information, the skills, the technique, and all the things that are necessary for each player at each position to get better with so many young players on the roster. The linebackers coach is 27 years old. That dude can still be playing in the league.
I know. He could if he was good enough. Now, what you're saying is, I like the fact that that Nick Sirianni, he's got some. I like what he did in Indianapolis, and I like what he was doing in San Diego. He's been with Frank Reich, and I think I want to say what's the other guy? Ken Wisenhunt. He's been with both. I know he's been with both of those guys, so he had some time as offensive coordinator. And I like what he's done because he's had a run to pass orientation. So basically, he's going to run the ball and pass when need be, but also pass when they're not expected. Once you kind of like what you're supposed to do to a defense and wearing them down. I watched a lot of his games. I feel like he's a good play caller. And then the Yannick kid, I like them because they're teachers. And if you listen to some of his press conferences, they're not putting in a system. And everybody's talking about, well, they haven't said what their system is going to be. They said we're going to see what we have, and we're going to build a system around the talents we have. That's how you know when a guy is truly a coach. Because if he came and was like, we got a system to get, like when they brought Billy Davis in here, he's trying to run that crowd. They brought the wide nine in here. We're trying to run that crowd. Because we don't have wide nine people. We need pressure bust pipes. I'm not trying to have no defense coordinator that's letting the quarterback sit back there and play 7-on-7. And that's not what we're here for. We're here to put pressure on guys, on the quarterback. We're here to run the ball down your throat and hit you over the top. If you look at it last year, he took Phillip Rivers from throwing 19 interceptions to just 9 interceptions. And it's kind of funny because I was watching one of their games and they was killing the team and they was trying to put him away. And he called a pass and Phillip Rivers threw it to the wrong read. So what did he do? He came back and started running the ball, kept running the ball down their throat, and they ended up putting it away like that because he's like, I'm not going to let this one person ruin everything. So seeing him and being in his press conference, he's a new head coach. Everybody, they talk about the extensive search. Everybody had to dress down because he was on vacation when they interviewed him. So I don't fault him for his interviews, but it's like I love his energy out there. I don't know if you've seen any of the practice stuff. I love his energy and how he's on the same level as the guys. I think it's going to work right now because he's got a bunch of young guys. He's full of energy coach, and he's out there to compete. You earn your job as a player. I can respect that. If you tell me that he's a starter. Well, no, we're out here competing for jobs. When you tell me you're competing for jobs as a player, you start garnering more of my respect. Right. Because if I see you give somebody a job, i.e. Carson Wentz, i.e. some other people that just let go out there and play, and then we just everybody, oh, he's good. It's like, no, he's not. He's sticking up the joint. You got to earn your job. So that's one of the things that he gained respect for me for. So when he said that we out here to compete. You got to earn jobs. Nobody's going to give you nothing because on the football field, they're not giving you nothing, and you know that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I want to go back to a point that you just made about Nick's play calling and the fact that he likes to be balanced. Now, I want to take you back to Jeffrey Lurie's press conferences and some of the things that he talked about, that he wants a coach to come in and create an elite offense, a high-powered offense. Now we go back to some of the articles that came out pre-draft where they were talking about how, Doug Peterson had to go on a meeting with Jeffrey every Tuesday. And Jeffrey would question him, well, why did you run so much here? Why didn't you throw the ball more here? It seems to me that the thought process in the NFL now is that, hey, we want to run, we want to throw the football. Okay. Right. The running the ball is secondary. We want to throw the ball to get a lead, and then we want to run the ball in 4-minute offense, to run the clock out, run the game out. That's the way we'll balance up, run the pass ratio. What you just talked about Nick Sirianni is not necessarily what Jeffrey Lurie and Howard Roseman really want. They want to throw the ball. Listen, they've drafted a wide receiver in the first round the last 2 years.
Oh
What
my
does that
God!
tell you? What does that tell you? They
They're
want,
trying to build a receiving core. They skipped over the linebackers. Kenneth Murray, the linebacker out of Oklahoma.
but my point is, Nick can start out wanting to run the ball if he wants to. Okay. And in my opinion, that's the right way to run your offense, especially when you have a young quarterback trying to get his footing and trying to find his way in this league. But when the owner, who owns a $3.5 billion industry, entity, I should say, and he wants you to throw the ball all over the map, now you got to answer to that guy. What will Nick be getting himself into? If he's not willing to acquiesce to the type of offense that Jeffrey wants to see.
Well, you know what he's going to be getting himself into? He's going to probably do the same thing Doug did. Come here, win a little bit, possibly win the title, and then be fired because he refused. That's why I tell everybody the same thing. They let the coach come in and the new coach come in here. They let him get the victories up, but then they start nitpicking. Once stuff gets great, and they get to win this stuff, they're like, oh, we found a great guy. Then they start doing the stuff you're talking about now. And they start doing that to Doug, after he won the Super Bowl. After you won the Super Bowl and stuff, then they start nitpicking and coming around and doing extra stuff, and then realizing later on that you don't know football. You just have money. You own a team, but you don't know what the hell you're doing. It's like it's just because you sit in your garage with all the the Senior Bowl stuff and all the All-Star college All-Star stuff. You have to watch film on kids. You have to see their demeanor in different situations. I hate when people start talk about an All-Star game and how their stock went up during an All-Star game. Any fool can get ready for an All-Star game. It's just like in shorts. Everybody's Superman in shorts and helmet. It's like, well, when you put them pads on and you get and they get what I call the truth serum, hand and face blow delivery right in your mouth. Hit you right in that NFL symbol. That's the truth serum. So it's like, and it's just going. I'm thinking it's going to go the same way I said. Nick will be here for a few years. He's going to have some success. And then they're going to start doing what you said, butting their hand into him, calling him in the office all the time, and then asking him about his run to pass ratio. And then he's gonna run him up out of here, and then get another young guy.
Well, I mean, listen, you begin to see more and more owners be more and more involved. Jerry Jones kind of starts the whole thing. I think he's a classic example. That owners like Jeffrey and every other owner that wants to take a bigger role in what goes on in their organization. Look at how he has destroyed, that team. Listen, you can't tell me that the Dallas Cowboys, the last 3 years haven't been the most talented team in the division, but they can't get out. They can't. Yeah, I mean, they can't get out of their own way. That's been their problem. And Jerry sits right at the crux of it all. So now when you start to hear these things about Jeffrey, and then the point that you just made, come on, man. Don't you want to coach for longevity? Aren't you searching for the next Andy Reid, the guy that can be here for the next 10 to 15 years, that can get your organization in the NFC Championship 5 years and get you to multiple Super Bowls? Every single time that you turn your coaching staff over, you're basically starting over to a certain extent. Because they're going to come in with their own philosophies about what they want to do and how their defense looks. Yeah. So I mean, now you put yourself in a position where you're rebuilding again. I'm not so sure that I really understand what it is that they're trying to do. If in the end, this is what it's going to look like, if that's based on what you're saying.
But okay, look at what happened in the draft. You see the little when they were trying to do the fist pump on the 3rd round pick, and you notice, and we talked a little bit about the shakeup upstairs where they got a bunch of new people in there. Everybody's not on the same page as them because you take my opinion and you take my scouting. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Oh, there you go.
I'm here. I'm giving you front stage, man. I'm reading my comments over here in the comments, and they're loving you, man. So I'm gonna click out and let.
Okay, no problem. Well, when you look at the draft, the way they did the draft, you got him picking a guy in the third round, Milton Williams, who's I think he's a decent defensive tackle. I just like the fact that he was getting knocked out of his lane. But there was a stout kid at NC State who played against quality competition and probably better competition than Milton did. But they brought a guy there who's going to be a defensive end, but I think he's too slow to be a defensive end. They probably gonna try to make him a D tackle, but they're gonna run his ass up out of there at defensive tackle. And then you continue down the list, and then with the second round pick, it really pissed me off because they drafted somebody who's hurt, and everybody's been talking about what he's gonna do. But first, he's got to get healthy. I'm not drafting bruised fruit or dented canned goods. And then you continue down the list of people that we drafted. The Zach McPherson. It's like, yeah, he transferred from somewhere, but he's at Texas Tech. They have the worst defense in the world. And then you keep going down. I got Kenneth Gainwell. I love that pick because it helps out the running back. And then I think we got some quality free agents, but when you look at the way we drafted, it's mind-boggling. And the thing between Howie and Tom Donahoe, I think in the microcosm, that's what our draft looked like. Howie came to give him a pound, and Tom Donahoe looked at him like, and Tom he was like, and then the very next day, Tom went in there, and his whole area was cleaned out. I was like, whoa. I said, that's how we plan. So to what you're saying about, are they going to continue to do this? It looks like that's what they're going to continue to do. Joe, and I didn't tell you this last time we talked. If you look around the league, there are guys who have been in this organization looking to be GMs or in the position to make the decisions. They're currently making decisions elsewhere, i.e. the guy in Indianapolis, the guy in the GM in Indianapolis, the GM with the Cleveland Browns, Joe Douglas up with the Jets. So it's people that we sprinkled around here that came through that had that position that they just fill with the woman. With the woman.
Come on, man. You about to piss some people off now.
I don't have a problem with women doing certain things, but it's hard for me to think that, okay, you watch football. Have you? And everybody always gets mad when I say, have you ever played? But have you ever played at this level? It's like, because it's like high school and college. It's cool, and some college people, once you get to the next level, once they get their chin checked by a grown man, they don't want no more. So you could, I'm still skeptical at that one. It's like, I don't mind you being a reporter and doing the stuff and being in the same realm and stuff, but then like you said, the coaching and stuff, it's like you really can't tell me nothing. I'm just saying. It's like I played more football in one season of Pop Warner that you've ever played in your life. So I mean, what do you that? And they always say, it's like, I know, no, you don't know. You don't know what a double team feels like. Well,
Wow. Well, hey, listen, that's the new world that we live in.
Well, I understand that, and it's some because it's just like I ain't even gonna get into that.
You might as well go all in now. Open the door.
So I'm watching the news, and so people were getting mad because they were bringing into law that transgender kids couldn't play girls' sports. And I was like, because it's not that's the way it's supposed to be anyway. Because as a man, you physically way more physical than a girl. And then somebody was saying something. I was like, you haven't seen the MMA fighter that's a transgender that's fighting girls, that's beating the hell out of girls. Now she got her ass whooped a couple of times, but she has been destroying some other girls, and I don't feel like that's fair, point blank. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. You just get paid right. Just get paid for the same amount of the jobs and stuff. But it's not. You can't tell me that a woman can coach and win. I can see her winning at basketball because she's played basketball at every level. But a physical game like football, there's no way, other than kicking. And that's it.
Well, hey, listen, and the league the way that I know it, and it's changed quite a bit. But if you got a female kicker back there, don't tell me the guys ain't gonna run into her every once in a while just
That's it. But the way that they find now and that 15-yard penalty that you're gonna get, and they find you now. You get that, you run into the kicker. You best believe you'll get a nice chunky $50,000 fine. That's the first person gonna be made an example out of. But it's the world we live in now. I was talking to somebody the other day, and the world we live in now from 10 years ago, you're like, how did we get here?
Well, listen, man, there's a lot of reasons why we've got here. In the name of equality, for all, that's why we're here. And I don't see it changing. I think that there are some positions,
right,
for women that are, okay. So let's talk about, the VP that they just hired.
Okay.
It's just as long as she's not making football decisions and she's making business decisions as far as organization.
Yeah, I can see that. So yeah, I can see that.
Then I get that. The issue that I have
is that,
say I really, really, really wanted to get into, coaching.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, the year that I interned, I went up to Buffalo.
Right.
And I'm at Buffalo, and when the preseason is over, all the defensive coaches on the staff, they go to Rex and they're like, "Hey man, we need to keep this guy. You need to keep him here this year. We could really use him." Well, Rex turns and he says, "Hey, I don't have any spots available." But they hired a special teams assistant who was a woman, and the entire time I was there 5 weeks. I didn't see her coach anybody.
Yep.
I didn't see her she said nothing the entire time. And they hired her. They hired her for the entire season, but they didn't have a spot for me. You understand what I'm saying? So
and the jacked up part about that is they're just trying to do good, look good amongst the people. And it's like they do a lot of stuff. It's like when they first started finding us for all those hits, but yet that's what you show when you highlight a game that's being played, about to be played. You show the bone crushing hits because people love to see carnage. Mm-hmm. It's just like what you said is like, how did she get the job and she didn't even do nothing to get it? That's the only part that I don't want to see, because you're not going to garner any respect whatsoever if they just give you a job. And that's why if you earn a job, if you truly earn a job and you show that you could do it, you go through the ranks like everybody else does, then yes, you deserve a job. You deserve an opportunity. But just to be giving folks jobs just because they're female or the color of their skin, the wrong other part too is like some guys are so qualified and they still continue to get overlooked. Talking about wait till your turn. Well, why do I have to wait why do I have to wait? I'm qualified now. There's some jobs available. And everybody talking about, well, he didn't interview well. Okay, so the guy you just interviewed, he hasn't made the playoffs. He just went 4-12, and he's still stinking up the joint. So he interviewed well. So how about you get somebody who is qualified, who comes highly recommended, and he's there to do a job. Nobody's trying to. Everybody's looking for somebody to impress them in the interview. You should be able to impress them a little bit, but the proof is in the pudding to me.
Well, see, for me, it's not so much in the interview, and the interview is a big piece of it, because you're making your determinations based upon the conversations that you have. I get that as far as the head coach is concerned. But when you start talking about position coaches and defensive coordinators, then it's really about the level of knowledge that you bring. I've said, and I'll always say that, a young player's development is tied to the knowledge level of the position coach that he plays for. Right. If that position coach knows a lot and can teach a lot and has played the game to a certain extent, then there's a lot of information that he can plant into that young player. There's a lot of things that he can tell him that will help make him a better player. Yep. Now, if I'm a head coach, I'm looking for guys who can teach position by position.
Right.
Okay. We're going to run this kind of system, or, we're going to run this system on offense or this system on defense. Okay. Now, not every player fits into every system.
Right.
So I need a coach that can coach in the system that I'm going to run.
Mm-hmm.
And I need coaches that can coach my linebackers to teach them how to play the game the way that I need them to play if I'm a defensive coordinator or if I'm a head coach. Okay. If those guys can't be teachers, because you want to know something, listen, I could run a football 101 class and you can put 1,000 people in there that don't know nothing about football. And in 2 days, I can teach them everything there is to know about the game. They can turn on the TV and they'll understand what's going on as they watch a game. Okay. That's the kind of teacher that you need at a position that can teach players and show them, okay, the reason why you got beat here is because of this. Okay. If I can teach the average person the game of football, the average person can learn a system. Okay. And they can speak X's and O's until the cows come home. Okay. But when I, as a player, if I'm struggling with something, how can you, as my position coach, help me overcome that? How can you make me better? How can you give me information on where my eyes are and what I should be looking at and what I should feel? And when we're in the front and I got a 3 technique over here and they're running away from me, how do I navigate getting to, my A gap on that front side?
Call Spike.
Well, hey, listen. Absolutely.
You know what a spike call is, don't you?
Absolutely. He gonna shoot down. He gonna shoot down that A gap, and you're gonna jab and come back and get the B gap. But my thing is, when I watch players play today, I don't see them playing with that level of knowledge. When I look at, especially the linebacker position, when I look at guys like
look at the D line too. If you look at the D line, you'll be pissed off. But continue though.
Yeah, but listen, but that all works together.
I know.
If the linebackers ain't getting it right, you can damn sure believe that the guys up front ain't getting it right. So that just tells you, okay, neither one of these guys really understand where they fit. They don't even understand how to pull that guy off a double team. When you got a 1 or 2 and he's double, you got to come down here and get that guy off of him. Next thing you know, everybody's complaining this guy's getting blown off the ball. Well, he got 600 pounds laying on him. The linebacker got to come downhill and get him off so that he can maintain his gap.
Or the linebacker needs to go make the damn play. I don't mind if I get double teamed, I should hear a thunderous roar from the crowd.
Listen, I agree 100%. But when it comes to to our point, there are positions in professional football for women.
Yeah.
I'm just hard pressed to believe that you can tell me that a woman knows enough about the game from a technique, a skills, a fundamental standpoint that she can coach a position and tell a linebacker, oh, you're not making this play because you're not doing this, and this. And not all the time is it a situation where you have to have played. But I think that for guys who can teach and guys that can maintain an even keel when they're dealing with their players.
Right.
I think that a guy that used to play, is the best coach that there is because he can relate with everything that a player is going through. Okay. When a player makes a play, he knows how he feels. When a player misses a play or misses a tackle, that coach knows how he feels because you know what? He has experienced that before. If you've never experienced it before, the only thing you can do is yell and scream and tell somebody how much they suck and tell them why they didn't do X, Y, and Z. How come you can't get there? Well, you know what? You put these damn shoulder pads in this helmet on and you get in there and let me see you do it.
Well, you know what? I've been fortunate enough to have like Mike Turkovic was my D-line coach when I first got here. He was a national champion wrestler. And he played nose guard for Michigan, University of Michigan. And then Tommy Brazier probably taught me taught me how the integral parts of the NFL. He used to crack me up because when he played pro football at halftime, he used to have a pack of cigarettes inside of his helmet. And I was like, seriously? He was like, and he showed me some pictures. I was like, dude. But he played center and linebacker. And I was like back in the day. And it was like he played it pro, but it's like when you look at those guys, they all crunchy. He was a teacher. And both of those guys were teachers, and they taught me well. It's like Turco didn't make it to the NFL, but he knew how to play the defensive line position. What you're looking for, the exposures that you're looking for, and the hand placement. That I think a lot of the guys now, I get sick and tired of seeing guys like Velcro on the block. Get him off of you. It's not Christmas time. It's not a Christmas hug. And I see that, and I was like, and all I can think in my head is the coach yelling, "Time, what the hell are you doing? This isn't a Thanksgiving gathering. You're not hitting." So when I'm looking at the guys nowadays, and they're not playing the technique, a lot of guys are just going for sacks, and they're not. In football, there's going to be time for sacks, but sometimes you just need to make a tackle. Make a tackle. Get them off the field.
Well, I mean, listen, that goes across the board. You can just look at the way that these guys tackle today. They try to blow people up. You know, the objective when you're tackling is to get the guy on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay. So there ain't no need of coming 100 miles an hour trying to blow the guy up, and he see you. If he see you, he's gonna sidestep you. Now you can get the blow up shot. You know, when he's trying to juke somebody else and he looking somewhere else, you run through him. But if he see you, just break down, grab him by the leg. It don't matter how you get him down, just get him down. You can't take a shot, let the guy bounce off you and run for 30 more yards, and then get up, and clap your hands like this. I'm like, come on.
I hate that. I'm looking at some of the comments that somebody was saying. The analytics have no place in football. You can analyze your ass right out the door. That's point blank. It's like, you know what the analytics are? I'm here. If you try to run the ball, I'm gonna stop you. You try to throw the ball, I'm gonna hit you and try to stop you. That's what it's like. There's no analytics in football. It's a man. It's called, in the immortal words of Tommy Brady, just a man whoop a man, and it's the last man who's standing at the end who's had the most victories that's gonna win, and it's never gonna change.
See, now, Tank, I'm gonna disagree with you just a little bit, and
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you why. I understand why you would say that, because you're in the trenches.
Yeah.
And I used to always remember, we call it front, and Jerome or Reggie or Mike Pitts or Mike Golick, they would just they just locked in. We be in a over front and they be lined up, in the wrong gap. And Buddy wouldn't cuss them out. He cussed the linebackers out.
I know, but I do. But I know what you're saying. I was a guy who made sure everybody lined up properly. I knew all the hand signals. Ask Trotter. I knew every hand signal. I knew every nickel and dime and regular hand signal. After Trot said the call, I said the call again, and I said, "Do y'all know what? Excuse my language. Do y'all know what the fuck to do?" Because it's nothing like I don't think and I don't need my linebacker getting messed up because we messed up up front. I need everybody on the same page. I'm trying to win. And that's why it's like, and I know what you're talking about too. I'll be listening for Trot to say something. Listen, and I know what Trot. I knew what the linebackers knew. So if I saw the motion to somebody and I knew we were supposed to make the call, I'm like, "Hey, you gonna make that call?" Because
I will tell you. Listen, I'll tell you this: you as a defensive tackle were the anomaly. Because I'm telling you right now, the guys I played with, them big guys, once they get locked in, they don't hear nothing. They don't see nothing. They don't even want you. If you touch them, they don't even want you to touch them. They like on a hair trigger. But my point is, for most defensive linemen, okay, the analytics aren't a big deal.
Right.
Okay. Now, I will say I don't like the way that they have shaped and the way that they've molded analytics in the current game. Because for me, when I watch film, I created my own analytics. I didn't know what I was doing at the time. Because they give you the computer printout every week, but they never really taught you. They never taught you how to read it.
Also, so you did what I did. You know what my analytics was? I know the team we're playing. They throw screens out of this formation, this formation, this formation.
There you go.
A 3x1 or a 2-what shallow. I'm listening for a nose call or a husky call because I have to drop on number 3 because they got too many people out there for us to cover, and number 3 is probably going to come shallow. Normally, the number 3 comes shallow. He's looking at me. It's like because I hit the line and I step out and I was like, yeah, come on over here. But I also know that in power eye. Sometimes backside, they run the lead draw weak, especially if you run the blitz. And if we run the blitz and I'm on the weak side, instead of hitting my gap, I have to take an out step because a lead weak would destroy us. So when you said that's the analytics I dealt with. I broke every formation they did down, and I watched the film. And you have to know. That's why I know a lot of offensive coordinators, so I know how they think and stuff, and how they try to trick you.
I tell you what, man, I would love to play with you. Not that the guys that I played with, was a blast playing with those guys, but that level of knowledge. I mean, not only when I was here, but even when I left and I played in other places, it was the same type of situation. Those guys weren't. For linebackers, I always say, that we're the most unique player on the defensive side of the ball because we're half defensive lineman, we're half secondary player, and we got to be in tune to both. So from the analytics standpoint, okay, not only do I got to know what they like to run when they run the football, but I got to understand down and distance, where they are on the field, formations, what their tendencies are, when they're in the plus 30 and it's 3rd and 3. Okay, what is it that they like to do? So from that standpoint, yeah, it makes sense. But the way that they're propping up analytics now, the analytics make decisions in draft picks, they make decisions in play calls, they make decisions in the players that make the team and the players that don't make the team. They play critical roles, in the essence of the game. And my biggest problem with analytics is this, okay? When a coach says that he made a call based upon what the numbers said, okay? It takes all the accountability out of the equation.
Exactly.
Okay? So now you made a decision that didn't work out. Who's responsible for that? Is it the analytics guy that's in your ear that's telling you what the probabilities are of us winning the game if we convert this 4th down and 2? Or is it you as the head coach, are you the one that's accountable? Because by you saying, "Oh, this is what the number said," you divest yourself of any accountability in the situation.
And I hate that too, because if you make a call, stand with the call you made. You made it because you wanted to, and it's like, and you're extremely correct. The accountability is not there anymore, and I hate that when they try to. I call it passing the buck. So it's I used to like the way the coaches would call and they would stand by the call they made because that was the call that they wanted to make in that situation. I can live with that because you're a man. You stand up for what it is. I was like, but I was cracking up with you was talking about the analytical part, because I was like, the only analytics I learned was what I just told you. I learned the snap counts and stuff. I would watch different offensive linemen and see what they did. I would be calling the jet and cooler call like you just said in the plus 30. If I see a jet call, jet means pass rush, but they're known to do trick plays also in that plus 30 to try to get a big chunk of yards to try to fool you. It's so many like different scenarios that used to run through my mind before the snap of the ball, and then once they come out in their formation, all that's gone, and I make sure everybody's lined up properly. I get a Lucky the Rock call or the Lucy Rose call, depending on which side the blitz is coming from, and he just got to rock and roll from that dirt. But
listen, the game has changed, man, and I tell you, it's changed. It's changed a lot, and I'm not so sure that today's players are really the students of the game, the way that we were. I think the biggest hindrance to the way the guys study today is pretty much technology. I mean, I don't know where you were, because I'm so many years older than you are. I mean, I used to have to go in and get them beta tapes and watch film.
Well, see, at college I had the beta tapes. I had the beta tapes. They used to give me the thing that you hook it up to make it a VHS one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So in college, I got those. I started watching film my junior year of college, and just in general to see myself running to the ball. You say because that's what another thing that I don't see. I see a lot of guys standing around, and I'm talking about the big guys. I was always taught that nothing happens standing with your feet in quicksand. You see, the ground is like hot lava. Get your big ass up and get down the field. It's like, yeah, you might not get there, but what if the ball pops out? Or what if somebody makes a fumble? Or what if he cuts back across field? And then you could basically take his heart out. You never get there without hustling.
Right. Well, my thing is, the point that I was making as far as, watching film is concerned, Now, you get a iPad or you get a Microsoft Surface Pro.
Yeah,
so, and everything that you need and everything that you want is right there. I mean, I would be at the vet till 7, 8 o'clock at night sometimes because that was the only place I could watch beta tape. I didn't have no beta tape, no beta,
you had
at home.
Yeah, you had that thing.
Yeah,
actually, I want to say my third year they started giving us DVDs.
Well, they would give you cut-ups on the VHS. You could take that home. But I had so much tape that I had to watch. I would watch it at the complex.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just watching the film. It's also, sitting down watching the film with a piece of paper and a pen and taking notes. Because when you take notes while you're studying film, you're committing that stuff so much to memory, to the point that I hear you. You're committing that stuff to memory. So when a team came out, with 2 tight ends and 12 personnel, okay, all I need to do was see the personnel grouping, and then in my mind, because I had written down all of these notes, I'm like, okay, I know where they are on the field. I know what the down and distance is. I know what running back is in the game, and I know what they like to do out of 2 tight ends with a specific running back opposed to a different running back in the game.
Two tight ends, one steps off, it gives me yin motion. It's a wham.
Yeah. So now all of a sudden I've got all this information that I can draw upon because I've been studying and taking notes all week long. With these guys, with the technology. They're looking at it. They're just watching it. They're not taking notes. They're not really committing anything to memory. Every single thing that they need is on there. Their game plan is on there. Their playbook is on there. The video from practices are on there. The 4-game breakdowns are on there. That's all fine and dandy. But if you're not taking notes, like if I was a coach, my linebackers couldn't come in the room if they didn't have a pen and a piece of paper. Get out.
Exactly.
Get out. Because when you come in,
the first time we came in, we met Tommy Brazier, and everybody came in there. He handed everybody a notebook and a pen. He said, "Don't you ever go into any meeting without a notebook or a pen to write things down."
What are you learning?
Yeah,
I mean, that to me, that's the biggest question.
Yeah.
What are you learning? Because the coach can sit up there and he can draw stuff up on the board and he can talk to you till you're blue in the face. But what are you retaining if you're not writing it down and you're not going back and you're not reviewing it?
I think I got sent home from the Rams because the coach wrote some stuff on the board, and then we went into I wrote it down, and then we went into the defensive line room, and the defensive line coach was like, "He wrote this on the board like this." I was like, "No, he didn't."
See,
I had to show up. I was like, "This is what he wrote on the board," and he was like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "Yeah."
See, this is a great analogy right here. Jeanette just put this up. She said, "I don't have one phone number in my memory anymore." That's what technology does. Okay,
exactly.
There's probably 3 phone numbers that I know in my mind. The rest of them are on my phone. If I drop my phone and break my phone, guess what? I can't call nobody.
I call my brother because that's my emergency contact. That's it. If I lose all the numbers, I call my brother and my mom because my daughter's changed their phone number so much, and it's just like you'd be like, damn, everybody changed their number so much too. So,
oh yeah. All right, man. So for the last couple of minutes, man, let's talk about these offensive and defensive lines. Give me your opinion. Let's start on the defensive side.
Okay.
We talked about Milton. Williams. We talked about the Tucker kid from USC. I really like him, man. I really like him.
From USC, the big guy.
Yeah, I like him. I like him a lot.
I like him because all of his sacks, he's destroying somebody. I'm talking about just running them over.
Well, he's really active. Yeah, for a guy his size, he's 305. He's extremely active. He's got good feet. And he's always in the backfield. I mean, even he sheds and gets off of double teams really well. I I go back to Milton Williams. I think that Milton Williams, when I looked at his build and his frame,
right?
We talked about this a little bit the other day. He looks more like a 4-3 defensive end to me than he does a defensive tackle. And I think that when you pair that along with your comments about him being pushed out of his gap,
and stuff, yeah.
I can see him as a guy that's either going to be, a NASCAR defensive tackle or a guy that's going to be moved to defensive end, and play outside a little more.
Yeah, he's probably going to. Because how tall is he? He's only, he's like 6'3", 284. So he's going to have to get some strength up, but because he getting knocked out of your gap means you don't have that much strength. What do you think of the kids? You just talking about Jackson? Some of the defensive ends, I think they got them as I think they're gonna have them as stand up outside linebackers or try to make them into linebackers because they when they drafted them they put up linebacker. Did you know?
Well, the problem with some of their draft picks this year is they drafted some of these kids to be as linebackers, but in actuality, what they're probably going to wind up being is Well, Jackson is one. I got that wrong. Jackson is a defensive end. The kid Marlon Tulapolo. That's the one I was talking about. The defensive tackle from USC. Yeah. I like him a lot.
He's big and athletic. That's what I was talking about too.
Yeah. So then the other kid, the other defensive end that they drafted, the kid from I'm scrolling through here.
Also Carolina or Tulane.
Yes. I mean, they're not really linebackers. They look more like those two guys that they drafted. They look more like, edge rushers than they necessarily do defensive ends. Now, if that's the style of offense you want to run, then that's fine. Yeah. I'm more in favor of taking Milton Williams and moving him to defensive end because, in my opinion, you got to have a guy with some size and some height at defensive end.
On the left end, the backside end, you got to have a tall, athletic, rangy guy, and because that's what they always. If you ever noticed, like when I was a kid, I started noticing as I was growing up, I started noticing a lot of people was heavy run right. So you have the big guys because I started out playing left tackle until Corey Simon got there. But all of your big, so you had your big defensive end like it was William Fuller was over there, like Reggie White was over there. Like all the big guys was on the left side, on the left defensive side, and all the real fast guys was on the right side.
Yeah, you need that on that side, but you know what I mean. If when you think about when you talk about the planning as an offensive coordinator, that's the thing. When I see some of these edge rushers that are like 6'2", 6'3", they weigh 250, 255 pounds, and they line up on the right side of the defense against everybody else's best offensive lineman that weigh 320 pounds. That's like a man playing against a child. Now, if you really want to exploit that weakness, you go two tight ends, man, and you go wing on one side. You motion the wing back and then take X off the ball and put him up on the ball. Now you got that small defensive end that's now covered by a tight end. Now you take the other tight end off the ball, put Z up on the ball, and then you motion them across. Now you got wing. Now they can't affect the strength change. Now I can just wear that little 255, 260, and for the life of me, I don't understand why you don't see more teams do that.
Marty Schottenheimer did it one year to us when it was me and Hugh over there. But the only thing was saving Hugh was me because I'm not the typical right defensive tackle. I was 330 plus. So it was, and then they kept doing the exact same thing you did. They had Walter Rasby and some other big ass tight end. and they put an offensive tackle out there that was running doggy at us. I was like, dude. I was like, they just kept running it at us. We ended up winning the game, but it was like if he ended up getting his chin busted. He had he was talking trash to him, so he was like, big dog, I think I bust my chin. I look, and I turned to look to him. I was like, it looks like you have a second mouth. You might want to go get that checked out. He ended up having to get like 8 stitches during the game, but it was exactly what you said. I was like, oh dear Lord, that's exactly what they did.
I mean,
And
you
him
get
and Joe Gibbs did that same thing.
oh, absolutely. I mean, Joe Gibbs was masterful at that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, with all the motion and dropping and shifting and all the different stuff that they do, you can affect, you know, the strength of the formation any way you really want to. You know, so I think for me, I just, you know, listen, Brandon Graham's been great at defensive end. You know, but when I look at our defensive ends and I look at these two guys that they just drafted, we just drafted two other guys that look like the other guys that we have. You know,
well, Brandon Graham is like about 270, so and he's about 260, 270, and he's a little bit big, and Sweats, you got some men over there at defensive end right now. I think, and then tell me if when I look at the draft that we just drafted, I think we drafted a bunch of projects. You drafted the first round pick was great, was tremendous. You come back in the second round, you draft somebody that's been hurt every year that he's played college football, and he's hurt. He's currently hurt. You ain't expecting nothing. Then third round, you draft like I said, a project. Fourth round, you draft up another project, a DB out of the Big 12 conference. Name me one DB from the Big 12 conference. I'll wait. That flourishes because all they do is pass, and you can't. And then I do like the kid Kenneth Gainwell, but then once you pass that, I like Marlon because of what he does. He won't be out of position. But then you have Taryn Jackson, you have Jacob Stevens, who they don't know if he's a linebacker or a safety or rover. He's 6'1", 212, and then they draft Patrick Johnson out of Tulane, who's 6'2", 240. But him and another dude from Coastal Carolina, we drafted a bunch of projects.
I'll tell you this. You know, once you get past the number one overall pick, and once you get past Kenneth Gainwell, the guy that I'm most excited about, I want to see him play. I want to see Jacoby Stevens, man. Jacoby Stevens. Because even though they drafted him at linebacker, if you go back and you look at his film, he's a guy that played kind of like Malcolm Jenkins. He was all over the place.
Now that you think about it, and going back and thinking about the LSU film, he did have 21 and a half tackles for loss.
Oh, and he laid a lumber too, man. Yeah, I mean, I just don't envision him at 212 pounds, you know, playing linebacker, man. Yeah, I think that when you go to some of your sub packages, I could see them maybe dropping him in the box to maybe cover a back out of the backfield, or something like that. But I don't see him as an every down linebacker. I just don't.
I see him as a bit of a blitzkrieg in a sub package, just like a wheel linebacker. Just let him go. That's what I would do. Seek and destroy. So sometimes you gotta have that one guy who has a nose for the ball.
All right. So before we wrap, let's talk about the offensive line, the depth. Now I know that you don't like Landon Dickerson. I'll tell you, you know, when the guy was healthy, you know, in my opinion,
say the first part again.
I hear you. When he's healthy, he's held when he's well, but he's always hurt. But when he's healthy, I thought that he was the best center in college football. Now,
he's the best interior lineman.
I think that, you know, if they can get him back 100% healthy, this is the scenario I like to see. I think that the Eagles are fine on the right side of the line. Right. I think Lane Johnson will come back fine. I think Brandon Brooks will come back fine. And I know that Jason Kelsey would play good football. This is what I'd like to see, and you give me your opinion. This is what I like to see on the other side. Seumalo played well in spots last year. But he's one of those guys that will take a play off here or there that kind of make you scratch your head and wonder what the hell was he thinking about, you know. So what I'd like to see is that once and hope Landon, you know, Dickerson gets healthy enough that by the time they get to training camp, he can actually get on the field. I'd like to see them move him to left guard and compete against Seumalo for that job. Now, the most interesting competition at any position is going to be Jordan Mailata against Andre Dillon. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a competition because Jordan Mailata.
No, because I called Dillon Big Pudding. I wasn't going to let you go by without me calling him Big Pudding.
But the problem is, as a former first-round draft pick, you know that they want Dillon to play.
Exactly.
You know, and how are they going to look when you got a 7th-round project,
Mm-hmm.
this and now in his 4th year, that's ready to take over that role at left tackle of all places.
Exactly.
And the guy that you drafted to be Jason Peters' heir apparent, you don't know whether he wants to play pillow fight or whether he wants to play
Big
football.
pudding. I've seen him in practice. Big pudding. He's soft as cotton. Seen him in practice. I've seen him in some games. He's tender. I'm sorry. I call it. I can't. I love Jordan Mailata. I love the way he comes out. You need that nastiness, and I'm liking because my boy, the 2nd-round pick, he did play guard when he was at LSU. He was a masher, but if he gets healthy and stuff, and he can stay healthy, I like to see that too. Because you're right, Sayamalu was getting on my damn nerve. He was getting everybody talking about, he had a great game. I was like, he got drove back to the quarterback damn near every play. What the hell? And then I'm arguing with somebody. I was like, well, did you watch film? It's like, no. So what the hell am I arguing with you for then? You don't even have much film. It's like, so, and I would love to see that. I would love to see some of these guys get their cakes on the griddle and have some competition there to see how they play. Because sometimes you see guys who we don't have competition. It's easy to lollygag and bull crap. So, but when you know somebody's over there waiting to take their job,
it's really going to be interesting. So now the last part, when you look at the offensive line, and let's just say that health-wise everything goes according to plan, what do you think about the offensive line and the depth of the offensive line?
I like the depth because if we get some of the young guys who were able to get some experience back from who we drafted last year, who turned out to be pretty decent. And it's one kid that I forgot to mention. He's an undrafted free agent rookie out of Indiana. He's probably going to be the heir. He's pretty much another Jason Kelsey. Mm-hmm. What's his name? It's Harry Kreider. Harry Kreider he played at University of Indiana, 6'3", 307. He's a great kid. I watched him play. Indiana program is starting to come back. They've been doing a lot of good stuff. They ran the ball well. He passed block well. And we didn't talk about the rookie. I was undrafted, so we didn't talk about the undrafted free agents. But I feel like we got some steals because due to the pandemic. Let's see, we got a couple of receivers. See, they got a couple of receivers. Another guy, 6'4". 220 pounds, runs a 4.5, and you see him on tape pushing Patrick Surtain around, catching passes against Alabama, the University of Florida. Yeah, Grimes. And you see it, and the kid out of offensive tackle we just got out of Buffalo. I think he's going to provide quality depth. He was part of an offensive line, but he's also going to probably be kicked down the guard that was responsible for 3,000 yards in 3 years. So, and the kid who led the nation in rushing. So it's like I feel like we got some quality depth, especially due to the pandemic. So offensive line should be kind of solid, especially with my stout guy teaching him because I love the way he teaches.
Right.
He's one of those guys that teaches. He's a garnet to respect to be a quality offensive line coach.
So in closing, give me your thoughts on what Eagles fans can look forward to in this upcoming season. Everyone thought that this would be a rebuild season. We got, a second-year quarterback that's coming, in and taking over as, the quarterback this year. There's a lot of questions on, what that might look like. There's a lot of changes, with the coaching staff and things of that nature. A lot of roster changes and whatnot. And everyone thought that this would be a down year, that the Eagles would really struggle this year. But I like what they look like on the offensive side of the ball. I think the offense would be further ahead than the defense, particularly because the defense always kind of lags behind. Right. But, from your perspective, what do you see the Eagles, winding up in an extremely weak and unpredictable division?
Well, you know what? I think it's going to be exciting mainly because the one thing that I think that we still hadn't addressed was the other cornerback position. I don't feel like we addressed the middle linebacker. Was the middle of our defensive secondary. We haven't addressed the safety and the linebacker.
I'm just gonna have to have you come back on, and we're gonna have to go over that. And Mike Quick told me, he's like, man, you need to have Hollis's mom on with him.
But she's a custom machine, so but she gives a straight talk with the boss too. But I think everybody thinks it's going to be a rebuilding year. I think it's going to be one of those years where we're going to have some exciting football with some young guys, and we're going to be excited to see these guys do good. And I think it's gonna be we probably gonna surprise some people. So I feel like I don't think like we're gonna have a losing record, but I don't think we playoff caliber yet. But I think it's gonna be a good time. And I'm happy to say not hell no, Adam, not 7-10. It's a when you look at it, I feel like they got the right guys in here, and we got the right mix of young and old, and we can't go 8-8. So I feel like
9-7. Some of these guys forgot we got an extra game now.
Yeah, so you got an extra game. So I think we go 9-8 or 10-7. It's gonna be interesting to see. I think we're gonna win more than we lose, but it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be rough at some periods because the guys are learning a new system and stuff. But just like you said, the offense is probably gonna be a little ahead of everybody else. The defense probably is gonna catch on probably like the third or fourth week. They're gonna really start knowing what to do, and I feel like it's gonna be a fun season because the schedule is the last place schedule. Yeah. So you're not gonna have no killers on the schedule. So only thing I think the worst part I think it is 17 days we play four games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the worst part of the schedule. So I think it's gonna be exciting though because everything's open to back up. They put together not so much misfits of science, but some projects, and we got some people to insert into spots. I'm just interested to see how all this unfolds, but I think it's gonna be exciting. Like I'm looking forward to it.
No doubt about it. Well, my man, that's our show for tonight. Listen, I appreciate you, man. I always tell my guests every week, our time is our most valuable commodity. And for the last hour and 11 minutes, we over 11 minutes. I should have known that was going to happen. But for the last hour and 11 minutes, man, I appreciate your time and I appreciate you being with me. I know that my viewers enjoyed it, man, because the comments are just off the chain. But listen, we're going to do it again, man. And the next time we do it, I'm going to have you back a couple more times. I want to have you on. I want to have you on with your mom. And I want to have you on. I'm going to call Hugh Douglas and have both of y'all on. Now, that's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah. That's fun. Yeah.
All right, my man. Hey, listen, I appreciate you, bro.
All right, no problem. I get that.
All right. Hey, that's our show for this week again. As I always say, be good to each other, take care of each other, but most importantly, make sure you love each other. I'll see you guys right back here next week on the Seth Joyner Show. Peace.